What are you boycotting till the day you die? Shaw Academy. Sleazy little fucks. There lies in advertising, and nearly impossible to cancel a subscription with them. Tried doing a course that was a free 4-week course. The course was free for the first 4 weeks, but the way they sold it was that the course itself was 4 weeks and free. They say you can finish a course as fast or long as you want, but I think it caps out at 3 lessons a week, making you stay in the program for a few months, paying monthly. Trying to cancel is a nightmare. Sifting through pages and pages of "Are you sure you want to cancel? Here's a 5% discount, fill this form out, now this one, and now this one." All to get to a phone number that is only valid to call for a couple hours a day. When you finally get to call, it's an automated message. 10 minutes of a robot telling me it cares about me and wants me to stay. Only to finally press 2 to cancel my subscription. Fuck. Shaw Academy. Expedia and all the sites they own / control. Which is a lot of them. Expedia screwed me over in a bad way, and then their customer service people insulted me when I tried to call attention to the serious issues. Ultimately, they offered me a gift card as a take it or leave it solution to the entire issue. I left it, and went on a crusade to slam them on Twitter. I did it for a long time but got bored. The issue: their website let someone use my email address to buy plane tickets. The person didn't need my PW, and I believe they just made a typo that resulted in them using my email address in a required field. When I got an email confirmation about my airline tickets, I called to say it was wrong. Expedia canceled the tickets, and called it settled. When the actual customer arrived at the airport and their tickets were cancelled, they called Expedia. The rep from Expedia told them I cancelled their ticket, and then gave this angry person my full name and my cell phone hashtag so that he and I could sort it out between the two of us. The guy was pissed and made vague threats, so I contacted Expedia customer service to get this addressed. When I refused their offer of a $50 Expedia gift card, they told me I could suck a soft dick or a throbbing hard cock, my choice. I declined to do either, and we parted ways forever. The end. Once upon a time when internet shopping was new and novel, a lot of people didn't trust it because they were afraid of providing their credit card details to the World Wide Web. It was a time when you were told don't tell anyone online your name and where you live. However, slowly people started to adopt to buying things online as they saw the convenience of being able to make purchases and get those items delivered. More websites began getting into the online shopping space and internet shopping started to gain momentum. People realized they could buy things online, and even with the currency conversion and shipping fees, it still worked out cheaper than buying in a traditional brick-and-mortar store. That's how much we were getting ripped off in Australia. The main drawback was back then there were long shipping times. Gary Harvey, the multi-billionaire, started to whinge and complain that online shopping was hurting his business. He had it good for decades ripping off the Aussie consumer, and with the advent of internet shopping, he could see his profits start to decline. He said it's bullshit, consumers have a choice to purchase online and that there could be warranty issues or fake products or whatever crap that spewed out of his mouth. Every Christmas period he would go on television and complain if sales had decreased from the previous holiday season or if there was only a slight increase in sales. If sales were good that year, he would be happy and say spending is up. At the time, goods and services tax was exempt for online purchases from overseas as if the total was below 1K. One day Gary Harvey the rat bastard decides to lobby the Australian government to reduce that threshold to $300 and says Australian businesses can't compete with overseas retailers. Somehow buying an item online, paying currency conversion fees and international shipping still ends up cheaper, yet Australian consumers aren't being ripped off. There's much public backlash to the fuckwit Gary Harvey's proposal. Politicians scrap the idea. Gary complains and whinges and whines. Years later he lobbies the government again. However, this time not to reduce the threshold to $300, but he wants all purchases from overseas to be liable for the GST. Somehow, this passes. Not sure how many bribes he had to make in order to have that happen, but there you go. This is the same dickhead that told everyone to spend their $900 GFC stimulus money on plasma screens in his stores. Every time that you make a purchase online from overseas and it's more expensive by 10%, you can thank your multi-billionaire friend, Gary Harvey. How much more money does the greedy piece of shit want? I will never buy anything from a Harvey Norman store ever again. I know people that pay more for an item to avoid buying from there. I probably wouldn't piss on Gary Harvey if he was on fire. eBay. Escaped an abusive relationship, and was changing all my passwords to random combinations. Set it to log out all devices and force the password to be re-entered. It wasn't actually doing that. I tried from multiple devices, so it wasn't a keylogger or anything my abusive ex was doing. I also confirmed if I logged in on other devices, reset password, and clicked to log out all devices, it was not logging other devices out. Abusive ex was bidding/winning auctions. I called eBay to report the issue. They said it isn't that my account has been hacked/fraud because I know who is doing it. They would do nothing. Said I would just have to take the bad feedback and be blacklisted, and that I should pick better partners. Didn't matter that they had a major security flaw. All I could do was remove the payment methods from my account so he couldn't pay for his auctions. This is too late for you, but maybe it can help someone else. FedEx did the exact same thing to me, but I was able to get my package within a few hours. I work from home and I was expecting my new iPhone, which was rush shipped for early morning delivery. I put a note for the driver on my door that said I was home and to knock. I kept refreshing the tracking info until finally it said a delivery was attempted, but I was not home. I called their customer service line and sat on hold for about 45 minutes before reaching a series of people who kept passing me off to someone else. Finally, I ended up with a very nice woman who was honest as fuck with me. Told me she was looking at his location and he scanned the package miles and miles away from my house. She called someone at the local dispatch who was able to get in touch with the driver and have him drive across the city to get my package to me. I left the note on my door just to fuck with him, and yes, he was pissed. I used to live in an apartment next door to a pizza place. Pizza was decent, so I went there at least once a week. There was a woman who worked there who usually wasn't the most friendly, but I never really had any issue. I wasn't the chatty type, but I was a regular, so I'm pretty sure all the employees recognized me. One time though, I walk in and it's her and another employee working there. The woman is in back, so I order my usual 2 slices with the other employee who puts them in the oven, and stand by the counter watching TV to wait. A minute later the woman comes in on the phone and asks me, "Did you order?" And I said, "Yeah, I just got the 2 slices. For some reason she assumed the other employee hadn't done anything, so she puts 2 more slices in the oven. I wasn't really paying attention, so I didn't think anything of it. A minute later the other employee walks back in, takes the 2 slices she put in for me and boxes them up. That's when the woman realizes what happened. I still didn't realize, and completely loses her shit at me. She starts screaming, "Why didn't you say your slices were already in? Now I just wasted these." And dramatically dumps them in the trash. "What's wrong with you?" The whole place just goes dead silent and everyone is staring at me. I'm just standing there bewildered and trying to make sense of what just happened, so I just blurt out sorry and walk out. As the shock wore off and I replayed the events in my head, realizing I didn't really do anything wrong, or at worst was just an honest misunderstanding, I got pretty upset that I got yelled at like a child, especially after being a regular for years. At that moment I decided I'm never stepping foot in that pizza place again, and I didn't. I lived next to it for another 3 years and not once went in or even ordered from it. Reminds me of the pizza place I haven't gone in since an employee treated me terribly. I was a regular as I worked across the street, literally bought a sub and fries on a daily basis. This place was cash only. One day I walk in, order, then realize I had no cash. I apologize and say give me a minute, I'll run to the ATM across the street and grab some cash. The guy at the counter says no worries, you're here every day, we'll get it tomorrow. I say cool, THX. Few minutes later my food is ready and someone else hands me my food. I thank him and turn around to leave. The guy just immediately rips into me for trying to walk out without paying. The other employee explains the situation, which you would think would resolve the issue, but the second guy starts mocking me and giving me a hard time for not thanking them profusely enough for the loan/leniency. I looked at them both, put my food on the counter and just simply said, you know what, I guess I don't want this anymore. Walked out and have never been back. In a similar vein, I asked for a menu at my local bar/restaurant and the bartender said I wouldn't get one because no one wants your table because you don't fucking tip. I was dumbfounded as I have the opposite problem normally. I normally give 20 to 25% and my SO says it's too much. I just blinked and said, well, that's completely untrue, paid for the one drink I had and left. I called the owner and explained what had happened. He just sighed and said sorry about that. The bartender is best friends with the owner's daughter, so she was emboldened by the pseudo-nepotism. The worst part of all is the friend I was with was the bad tipper. He admitted it to me after I called the owner. I explained this to the owner, who I had for years cater my business Christmas party every year, in an attempt to clear the air and get an apology from the bartender, and he said, I won't ask her to do that. Lost all my respect and business in that moment. Respectfully, fuck the lot of them. Fuck State Farm. First, when I was much younger, I used to have them for car insurance. I had full coverage, uninsured, you name it. Well, one day I was hit head-on by a daughter who lived with her mother who was driving her mother's car. But the mother had lied to her insurance company stating that she had no one living with her who drove her car, which was obviously false. So her insurance company dropped her. State Farm was a fucking nightmare on all accounts. For years, I'm talking at least 3 years after this accident that I was not at fault for, I called SF twice a week asking about status of my claim, when was an adjuster going to come out, when would my car be fixed, etc. I was being nice, yelling and screaming, going to my agent's office, calling every 800 number, contacting the state insurance regulator, everything you could think of to get this bullshit over with and my car back to normal, and I could not get them to give me a solid answer about an accident that was not my fault. Finally, after years of this maddening bullshit, without any notice whatsoever, an adjuster who seriously could not give a fuck shows up at my job, looks at my busted car for 5 minutes, and writes me a piddly check, minus my deductible, and rolls out. Years later, I get a $500 check in the mail for my deductible. They apparently sued the other driver/her mother, to get the money back. I mean, nice, but they could have given that to me and then sued to collect the loss. Absolutely worse experience dealing with a company, and I've had to deal with some doozies. Lifetime Fitness. It really pains me to write this, because I really love their gyms. I had a membership at Lifetime on and off through college. I went to a very large university with great amenities, so I didn't need the membership during the school year. I tried to cancel at the end of one summer. I was at the gym one day and I asked about cancellation. I was told to come back at a certain time frame the following Wednesday to cancel. I complied. When I showed up, the person doing the cancellations wasn't there. I was told to return the following Wednesday. Surprise, surprise, the person wasn't there again. I told them I was going to stop the payment through the credit card company. They responded by telling me that they'd take me to collections then. I ended up escalating through their corporate offices to get the membership cancelled. They managed to get 2 extra months of fees out of me. After that year of college, I shifted over to LA Fitness, and maintained that membership for about 10 years. When I moved away from LA Fitness, I joined the YMCA, where I've been for the last 5 to 6 years. I will always have a gym membership, but I am committed to not joining a Lifetime Fitness again until I'm reimbursed. It's really a loss for both of us. Edit, thanks for the awards everybody. I can't believe the attention this has received. It seems that many of you have found yourselves in similar situations. I encourage you to check out your local YMCA. YMCAs are unique in that their membership cost structure is designed to subsidize memberships for individuals and families that otherwise could not afford one. They also tend to be active in the community, hosting events like the Special Olympics. Thanks for all the comments, I'll read through them this evening. I am so co-signing on this. I didn't even realize I was boycotting anything till I saw this. I was over 8 months pregnant and had a flat tire not far down the street. One employee, who was totally nice and trying to be helpful, was walking outside just to triage it until his manager yelled across store and shut it down. I don't know, I was embarrassed and I was like, he's not fixing it now, just gonna tell me options. Being that I'm seriously days from giving birth first baby too, so that extra fear of the unknown is present. I go outside and start thinking. I haven't mentioned it's 6-ish in December, so it's dark and cold. A guy pulled up. And this is the luckiest I've been in my life, sadly lol. He worked at the Ma and Pa tire distributor down the street. So this man is off as they close at 5, it's dark, freezing, and he put my spare on for me. This was 2007 and I've been recommending them and going there ever since for tire rotation and purchases. Reading further, a comment totally reminded me of when they flushed my lines, don't remember which ones, and within 20 HRS some engine part broke. Went there and of course they said it was nothing they did. Ugh. I hate Pep Boys. Late to the party so almost no one will see this, but Car Shield. I once bought a used car sight unseen, rare model, whole other story, and had it shipped to my state. Since it was a pretty big investment on a used car known to have high maintenance costs, I called Car Shield to see what they would charge for a warranty. I ended up being okay with the cost and coverage, so I accepted and signed up on the phone. Took about 30 minutes all in. The car showed up later that week and was a disaster. Clearly had been damaged since the pictures were taken, engine knock, etc. I had used a third-party site and was able to ship the cat back for a full refund. I thought that would be the hard part, but then I tried to cancel my Car Shield policy. I spent over 4 hours on the phone. First, I had multiple people argue with me and say that I should keep the policy because I had introductory pricing that I couldn't get again. Keep the policy, on a car I didn't even purchase. Then when that tactic failed, I would simply get hung up on and transferred to some other rep. I'd repeat my demand to cancel my policy, listen to them tell me to keep it, and get placed back on hold. Finally I found someone kind enough to actually let me cancel my policy. Blizzard. Not the Dairy Queen thing. I love me some ice cream. I mean the game company. I used to love Blizzard. I spent years of playtime on Diablo 2. The crossover puns between Diablo, StarCraft, and Warcraft were amazing. WoW was my first MMO, not the first, just mine, and I fell in love with it quickly. I even loved the Lost Vikings, so old they weren't even named Blizzard when they made that. But their quality has been going down a lot recently. Diablo 3 was where it started for me. Not a bad game, but it wasn't really much better than 2. Then WoW expansions kept being less and less interesting. Hearthstone was a bit of on let down for me, partly because I played the Warcraft TCG and it was way more interesting. I never cared for Overwatch, but I could at least acknowledge that it's a good game. The Warcraft 3 remaster was a serious letdown. We've heard allegations that they weren't a good company to work for a few years now. This lawsuit just highlights how bad it's been, and I doubt it's going to get better anytime soon. I'm done supporting them. But I'll always remember the good times I had.